Welcome to this tutorial on your Movenote presentation. Hopefully you've already watched the basic tutorial about how to start your Movenote and how to create your PowerPoint slideshow on your interview. The purpose of this one is to help you transfer your slideshow into Movenote and to go ahead and actually make your Movenote presentation. So at this point I'm already signed into Movenote and I want to create a new presentation. So I'll click up on top where it says plus create new, and we'll name it sample presentation Mr. Butler interview. And as you can see, my webcam pops up automatically. I've already clicked allow. It's going to ask you to click on allow or disallow for your microphone. You can also see I'm wearing my headphones because it's got this cool little mic, so that picks up my voice really well, and I don't have to shout when I'm talking. So that's a good idea if you've got one of those as well. So step one is to add your slides. If I hover over and let the instructions stay put there for a second, it's going to ask you to upload the slide content from your computer. Now there are different types of files. The easiest type of file, from my experience, is to get your file into a PDF. So it's not quite as simple as just pulling it off of Google Slides, but it's pretty close. If I left click, it gives me two options, Google Drive or computer. I actually don't want to click either of those quite yet. I'm going to go back to my drive and I'm going to find my presentation. Sample interview, Movenote, and I'm going to open it up. Now, what should work, but for some reason it doesn't, is I should be able to click on Google Drive and attach it straight from my Google Drive. But for some reason that has been working for me. If you can get it to work, awesome. But I'm going to show you how to get around that just in case yours is not working, kind of like mine is not working. The sample interview is going to pop up, and I just need to do one quick thing, and it's going to work just fine. I'm going to click on File, and I'm going to click on Download As. And where normally you would download this as a Microsoft PowerPoint, I'm actually going to download it as a PDF document. And you're going to see it's going to download here at the bottom, and once it's done thinking, we're good to go. I'm going to go back to Movenote. I'll left click, and instead of clicking on Google Drive, where we thought we'd click at the beginning, we're actually going to click on computer because we've downloaded this file. Because we downloaded it, I'm going to check in the download folder. I know it's called sample interview, so I'm just going to do a quick search for sample, see if it pops up, and there it is. I'll double click. It's going to think for a second, and it should pop up in just a few moments here, so we'll give it a second and wait. Okay, so that took about 20 seconds. I paused the video, but we're back. It took about 20 seconds to load up, and we're back and ready to go. As you can see me clicking through, all of my slides that I made are on here. All the pictures work fine. Before you start your recording, go ahead and click through however many of your slides you have, and just make sure that you are looking good and there are no mistakes that occur. Okay, checking a couple things. Hover over the camera. It gives you an option to disable the camera. You don't want to do that. You want to enable the camera. If you disable the camera, then your webcam goes away. We don't want that. I want to see your face and I want to see you talking. So we're going to enable the camera, and my face is going to pop back up. This red button is where you're going to click to record, and when you are done, you're going to click on this blue check mark, which currently we cannot click on because we haven't recorded anything. But once you have recorded something, you can click that blue check mark and you can be done. If at any point you want to stop and start over, there's a start over option here. But just like a real presentation, starting over is kind of a pain. If you get 3 or 4 minutes in and you make a big mistake that you really can't include in your presentation, you're going to have to re-record those 3 or 4 minutes before your screw up. So just like a real presentation, there's a little bit of pressure here to get it right the first time. Let's begin. Hi there, my name is Alec Chambers, and this is my Movenote presentation on my interview with Mr. Butler. Mr. Butler is the assistant principal at Center High School, and he's been at Center High School for, I believe I have that wrong, actually 6 years. as an English teacher, and now in his second year as an assistant principal. So this is his ninth year at center, but not all nine are teaching English. He is married with two kids. He loves basketball, and I am one of the soccer coaches, and I'm trying to get him to love soccer. He's getting there. He's starting to like it a little bit more, and it's entertaining watching him watch soccer. As an English guy, he loves to read books. He's told me a lot of stories about how he got into books as a child and how they kind of got him thinking about a different world from the one that he lived in, and it really encouraged him to pursue a career in journalism, which eventually led to a career in teaching English. The questions that I were going to ask him there are five of them, and I asked a few follow-up questions as well. In my case, my students actually ask the questions, but when you're doing this, you're going to ask the questions. So you'll talk like you ask the questions. We go on to question number one. When did you know you wanted to be a teacher? Mr. Butler actually didn't give this answer. This is my answer. But it works the same anyway. So I originally wanted to be a lawyer, but it's not how I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk like Mr. Butler gave this. Mr. Butler originally wanted to be a lawyer. When he was in college, he was in a program called Prior Leadership, and as part of that program, he went on a 15-day canoe trip to the Florida Everglades. And during that trip, he realized that he didn't like lawyers very much. He had a lot of really cool conversations with the other people on the trip, and he came to the realization that he didn't want to live his life talking to lawyers every single day. So he decided, I like working with kids, I like helping people, I like learning, I like school, and I don't really need to be rich. So teaching popped into his mind, and he decided to give it a try. When I asked him who he looked up to as a student, he answered that his English teacher, Mrs. Chirpick, who he had ninth, 10th, and 11th grade years, was somebody that he looked up to. He brought up the book Ender's Game as a reason why he looked up to Mrs. Chirpick. Ender's Game was a book that he read when he was in high school, and it really kind of changed how he looked at the world around him. It's a book about a young boy who is thrust into a really, really crappy situation, and he's got to either complain about it or he's just got to get to solving his problems and doing the best he can with the cards that he's been given in life. It's not really a happy story per se. It's actually got kind of a sad ending, but it really helped develop how he thought about the world, which I thought was really cool. When I asked what has education helped you achieve in life, Mr. Butler responded that education helped him to provide a life for his family. He grew up and neither of his parents went to college, so he wanted something more for his kids, which included not only valuing education, but it also included making money and giving his kids a comfortable life. He talked in his interview about wanting his kids to have a backyard to play in, which is a really interesting way to think about like a life goal. He didn't want to buy a car; he wanted his kids to have a place to play, which is really cool. I love how he talked about that. He's got that. He's worked really hard, and through his education, he became a teacher. He went to I'm forgetting the college he went to. He went to K-State to become a journalism major to write for a newspaper, and that eventually led him to working with kids and working in a school, and he became an English teacher. After a couple of years, he became an assistant principal. He mentioned that he was surprised at how quickly he became an assistant principal, and that kind of led to himself being his own role model. I asked a follow-up question of who was his academic role model, since Michael Jordan was his life role model. When I asked him if he feels like he still teaches as a principal, he kind of gave a yes and a no answer. Yes, because he gets to talk to and mentor students and help them, but at the same time, a lot of students kind of shut down whenever they find out they have ISS or OSS. So the mentoring is kind of a long-term process. He has a lot of really frustrating conversations, but he also has a lot of really great moments. So it's kind of a yes or no answer. The specific lesson he brought up was about a story he wrote in seventh grade about a drummer boy during the Civil War. The drummer boy actually eventually died. He wrote a fictional short story, and so in his story, the drummer boy was killed at the end, and it was a really sad story. And he knew he was good, and he knew it was a really good story when it brought his teacher to tears when he spoke the story. in front of the entire class, and his teacher started crying. He gave a really cool reaction. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm tight," and it was a cool moment to see how excited he got about the story that he had written. Even though it was a really long time ago for him, but you could tell that he was really proud of it, and that he talked about how that was the first time he realized he was better, or he was good at something that wasn't basketball or some other sport. He was good at writing, and he realized he was good at writing, and he realized that was something that he could do his entire life and really, really enjoy it. To connect to the Renaissance, I point out a couple things. In the Renaissance, people put a high value on education, and that's what you saw with Mr. Butler. He wanted his kids to have a better life than him, and he wanted a better life than his parents had, and just using education to kind of stair step up the social ladder. He talked about attending school and not really taking it seriously, like connects to the Renaissance, because a lot of kids attended school, and they took it really seriously because a lot of their friends didn't attend school. So getting to go to school is a really cool and a really important thing. Leonardo da Vinci was a writer, so he reminded me a little bit of Mr. Butler. And then the extra time and the extra money is kind of Mr. Butler's goals, and that's really what people in the Renaissance wanted as well. So if this were my presentation, it would end here, and I'd give you a big thank you for watching my presentation, and I'd give a little conclusion. For this one, though, since it's a tutorial, I want you to make sure you know 6 more things before you leave. The first, your presentations are due on Tuesday, September 29th at 8:05 a.m. Don't be late, don't be late, don't be late. If you have not yet conducted your interview, do it now. Get it done. If you have not yet completed your PowerPoint on Google Slides, you need to get that done now as well. Once you do those things, you conduct your interview and you have made your Google Slides, then, like you're watching me do, you can make your Movenote presentation and be good to go. I'm going to stop there because the 5th one is to complete your Movenote presentation. So I'm going to click pause, and I like it, and I'm going to click done. And it's going to think for a second, and while it's thinking, the 5th thing is to complete your Movenote presentation. Click later. It's going to think for a second, and the last thing is you need to turn it in. So the video is going to convert for just a second, and we'll wait till it's done converting, and then I'll show you how to wrap it up. Alright, that took maybe 45 seconds to a minute to load, so if yours takes a little bit of time, don't worry at all. No big deal. When you're done, you'll see a big play button. You can watch it right here. And you can see what your finished product would look like. Okay, now how to turn it in. You'll see down here this little link pops up. If that did not pop up, let me see if I can get it back. Let's go back to the archive. Okay, so if you go to your archive, let's say you don't turn it in right away. If you click on the share via, no, that's not gonna work. Share via services. Okay, here we go. This is where I want you to get. This little settings knob on the side here, if you click on that, it's going to open up this link. You can click copy, and it'll copy it automatically. You then need to go to Tuesday, September 29th, the due date, and this is where you're going to turn your assignment in. We'll click on the submit link right there, and it will open up this, and it's going to look a little bit different, so don't worry that it looks a little bit different. Pick your hour, paste your link, and click submit, and you are done with your Movenote project. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me, shoot me an email, or come in before school. Don't forget, they're due Tuesday the 29th.